Sure, Mataji. Yeah, I'll just start, Mataji. 1 second. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपादकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णापादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे.
Thank you, Gayatri Mataji. Swati Mataji is online now, so maybe she can take over. Swati Mataji, you ready?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. I will read the Sanskrit verse, and my daughter can read the translation in English. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yam huragam adyam purusham sahasrangri urubahukam yatra vishwa ime lokaha sahvikasamata asate.
The Purusha incarnation lying on the causal ocean is called the original Purusha in the material creations, and his Virat form, in whom all the planets and the inhabitants live. He has many thousands of legs and hands.
Slowly and loudly, yeah? Yasmin dashvidah pranaha sendriyarthendriyastrivrata त्वयेरितो यतो वर्णास्तस्थिभूतिविर्दस्वनः.
O great Brahmana, you have told me that the gigantic Virat form and his senses, sense objects, and 10 kinds of life exist within 3 kinds of life vigor. Now, if you will kindly explain to me the different powers of the specific divisions.
Text 24. Yatra putreshcha pautrescha naptribhi sah gotrajay praja vichitra kritaya asanaya bhiridam tatam.
O my Lord, I think that the process manifest in the forms of sons, grandsons, and family members has spread all over the universe in different varieties and species.
Text 25. Prajapatinam sapatishchekarlipe kana prajapatina sargoshchevanusargacha manunmanvatta radhipana.
O learned Brahmana, please describe how the leader of all the demigods, namely the Prajapati Brahma, decided to establish the various Manus, the heads of the ages. Please describe the Manus also, and please describe the descendants of those Manus.
Text 26. Uparyadhasya ye loka भूमिर्मित्रात्मजासते तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च भूलोकस्य च वर्णय. Translation.
O son of Mitra, kindly describe how the planets are situated above the earth as well as underneath it, and also please mention their measurement as well as that of the earthly planets.
Text 27. तिर्यन्मनुषा देवानां सरिसोपपत्रतॄणां वदनः सर्गसंव्यूहं गार्भसेवतिचोदभिधाम्. Translation.
Also, please describe the living beings under different classifications: subhumans, humans, those born of the embryo, those born of perspiration, those who are twice born, and the plants and vegetables. Kindly describe their generations and subdivisions.
Text 28. गुणावतारेर्विश्वस्य सर्गस्थितत्यप्ययाश्रयम् सृजतः श्रीनिवासस्य व्याचक्षवोदारविक्रमम्. Translation.
Please also describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, and please describe the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his magnanimous activities.
Text 29. वर्णाश्रम विभागाश्च रूपशीलस्वभावतः ऋणीणां जन्म कर्माणि वेदस्य च विकर्षणम्. Translation.
O great sage, kindly describe the divisions and orders of human society in terms of symptoms, behavior, and the characteristics of mental equilibrium and sense control. Also, please describe the births of the great sages and categorical divisions of the Vedas.
Text 30. यज्ञस्य च वितानानि योगस्य च प्रथः प्रभो नैष्कर्मस्य च सांख्यस्य तत्रं वा भगवत् स्मृततमम्. Translation.
Please also describe the expansions of different sacrifices and the parts of mystic powers, analytical study of knowledge, and devotional service, all with their respective regulations.
Text 31. पसंद पथ वैषम्यं प्रतिलोमनिवेशनं जीवस्य गत्यो याश्च यावतीर्गुणकर्मजा. Translation.
Please also describe the imperfections and contradictions of the faithless atheists, the situation of crossbreeding, and the movements of the living entities in various species of life according to their particular modes of nature and work.
Text 32. धर्मार्थकाममोक्षाणां निमित्तान्यविरोधत वार्ताया दण्डनितेश्च श्रुतस्य च विधि पृथक्. Translation.
You may also describe the non-contradictory causes of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation, and also the different means of livelihood and different processes of law and order as mentioned in the revealed scriptures.
Text 33. Shraddhasya cha can I see the Sanskrit version, please? Yeah. Shraddhasya cha vidhim bahana pitranam sargameva cha grahana shatra taranam कालवय संस्थितम्. Translation.
Please also explain the regulations for offering respects to the forefathers, the creation of the Pitralok, the time schedule in the planets, stars, and luminaries, and their respective situations.
Text 34. Danasya tapso vapi yascheshta purtayo phalam pravasanstaya yo dharmo yascha pusa utapati. Translation.
Please also describe the fruitive results of charity and penance, and of digging reservoirs of water. Please describe the situation of persons who are away from home, and also the duty of a man in an awkward position.
Text 35. Yen va bhagvastushedmano yo nirjanardanaha samprasidati va yeshamate dakshahi menagha. Translation.
O sinless one, because the personality of Godhead, the controller of all living entities, is the father of all religion and all those who are candidates for religious activities, kindly describe how he can be completely satisfied.
Text 36. Anuvratanam shishyanam putrana cha dvijotam anaprishthamapi vyurgurvo deenavatsalaha. Translation.
O best among the Brahmanas, those who are spiritual masters are very kind to the needy. They are always kind to their followers, disciples, and sons, and without being asked by them, the spiritual master describes all that is knowledge.
Text 37. Tatvanam bhagavatesham katidha pratisankramah tatremam ka upasiran ka usvidanu sherate. Translation.
Please describe how many dissolutions there are for the elements of material nature, and who survives the dissolutions to serve the Lord while he is asleep.
Text number 38. Purushasya cha sansthanam swarupam va parasya cha jnanam cha negamam yat durushishya prayojanam. Translation.
What are the truths regarding the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are their identities? What are the specific values in the knowledge in the Vedas? And what are the necessities for the spiritual master and his disciples?
Text 39. Nimittani cha tasyeha proktanyaya nagasuribihi svato jnanam kutah usam bhakti vairagyameva va. Translation.
Spotless devotees of the Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. How could one have knowledge of devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees?
Text number 40. एतात मे पृच्छत प्रश्नान् हरेः कर्म विवित्यस्य ब्रूहि मेघस्य मित्रत्वादजया नष्टचक्षुषः.
My dear sage, I have put all these questions before you with a view to knowing the pastimes of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the friend of all, so kindly describe them for all those who have lost their vision.
Text 41. Sarve vedascha yagyascha tapodhanani jnanagha jiva bhaya pradanasya na kuviran kalamapi. Translation.
O spotless one, your answers to these questions will grant immunity from all material miseries. Such charity is greater than all Vedic charities, sacrifices, penances, etc.
Text 42. Shri Shuk Uvacha Sa it ma pushta Purana kalpaha Kuru pradhanena Muni pradhanaha Pravriddhaharsho Bhagavat Kathayam Sachoditastaham Prahastaninvaha. Translation.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, thus the chief of the sages, who was always enthusiastic about describing topics regarding the personality of Godhead, began to narrate the descriptive explanation of the Puranas. Being so infused by Vidura, he was very much enlivened by speaking on the transcendental activities of the Lord.
Thank you very much. Pratyuta, can I share my screen?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes.
Okay, thank you. So let me know when you can see the screen.
We can see it, Prabhuji.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Ashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktiruttamakineshti Yam Pravrijantam Dvaipayano Virahakatar Aju Ava Putreti Tanmayatayo Taravo Vinedustam Sarvabhutardayam Unimatosmi. So we are going to go through 4 verses today. Third canto, 7th chapter, verse number 31, 32, 33, and 34. So let's go through all the 4 verses because the purports are small, or for 1 or 2 verses the purport is not there. So let's go through. 31st verse. Pashandapatha Vaishamyam Pratiloma Niveshanam Jivasya Gatayo Yascha Yavatir Gunakarmajaha. Synonyms. Pashandapatha, the path of faithless. Vaishamyam, okay. Pashandapatha, the path of faithless. Vaishamyam, imperfection by contradiction. Pratiloma, crossbreeding. Niveshanam, situation. Jivasya, of the living entities. Gatayaha, movements. Ya, as they are. Cha, also. Yavatihi, as many as. Guna, modes of material nature. Karmajaha, generated by different work. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Please also describe the imperfections and contradictions of the faithless atheists, the situation of crossbreeding, and the movements of the living entities in various species of life according to their particular modes of nature and work. Purport. The combination of living entities in different modes of material nature is called crossbreeding. The faithless atheists do not believe in the existence of God, and thus their paths of philosophy are contradictory. Atheistic philosophies never agree with one another. Different species of life are evidence of varieties of mixtures of the modes of material nature. धर्मार्थ काम मोक्षाणां निमित्तानि विरोधतः वार्ताया दण्डनीतेश्च श्रुतस्य च विधिं पृथक्. You may also describe the non-contradictory causes of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation, and also the different means of livelihood and different processes of law and order as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Number 33. Shraddhasya cha vidhim brahman pitranam sargameva cha grahanakshatra kala vayo samsthitam. I forgot to read the synonyms for the earlier verse. Okay, let's do it for this. Shraddhasya, of the periodical offerings of respects, cha also, vidhim, regulations, Brahman, Pitruna, O Brahman, Pitranam, of the forefathers, Sargam, creation, Eva, as, Cha, also, Graha, planetary systems, Nakshatra, the stars, Taranam, luminaries, Kala, time, Avyaya, duration, Samsthitim, situations. Translation. Please also explain the regulations for offering respects to the forefathers, the creation of the Pitraloka, the time schedule in the planets, stars, and luminaries, and the respective situations. Purport. The time durations of day and night, as well as months and years, are different in different planets, stars, and luminaries. The higher planets, like the Moon and the Venus, have time measurements different from those of the Earth. It is said that 6 months of this planet, Earth, equal 1 day of the higher planets. In Bhagavad Gita, the duration of 1 day in Brahmaloka is measured to be 1,000 times the 4 yugas, or 4.3 million years multiplied by 1,000. And the month and year in Brahmaloka are calculated in that measure. Dhanasya tapaso vapi yacheshta purtayo phalam pravasastasyayo dharmo yascha pumsam utapadi. Synonyms: Dhanasya, of charity, tapasaha, of penance, vapi, lake, yat, that which, cha, and, ishta, endeavor, purtayoho, of reservoirs of water, phalam, fruitive result, pravasasthasya, one who is away from home, yah, that which, dharmaha, duty, yah cha, and which, pumsaha, of man, uta, described, apadi, in danger. Translation. Please also describe the fruitive results of charity and penance and of digging reservoirs of water. Please describe the situation of persons who are away from home and also the duty of a man in an awkward position. Purport. The digging of reservoirs of water for public use is a great work of charity, and retiring from family life after 50 years of age is a great act of penance performed by the sober human being. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's chant our Mangala Charana and then we'll start our discussions. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaye Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam स अद्वैतं स अवधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनि इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जानुलम्बितभुजौ कनकावधातौ सङ्कीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्भरौ द्विजभरौ मृगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणा अवतारौ यन्तः प्रविश्य मम चरणां प्रसूतां सञ्जीवयत्य अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नः अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणाश्रवणात्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्. So the first verse we are going to talk today is Pashandapatha Pratiloma Niveshanam Jivasya Gatayo Yascha Yavatir Gunatarajaha. Please also describe the imperfection and contradictions of the faithless atheists, the situation of crossbreeding, and the movements of the living entities in various species of life according to their particular modes of nature and work. So, in certain times, this instead of the sh, it is also pronounced as kh. So, pakhanda pathaveshamyam, and the meaning is exactly the same. There is no different. So it's just different types of Vyakaran of the Sanskrit presentations. Sarala Sanskrit and Sahaja Sanskrit, and there are different varieties of pronunciations. So, imperfection and contradictions of faithless atheists. This is an interesting dimension we need to think of, is because everyone who is in the material world and with that material consciousness, there is an element of atheism in that, with that every living entity, except certain pure devotees. Otherwise, even among devotees, there is a element of atheism. Srila Prabhupada very beautifully explains that element of atheism in various purports in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and especially in Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada gives that dimension pretty vividly. So what that means, and why do we need that Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? Why he gives that in a Nectar of Devotion? Because the emphasis on 64 limbs of devotion. Why do we have to go through that Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti till the person reaches the stage of Raganuga Bhakti and ultimately goes to the Ragatmika Bhakti? And that's the main reason Srila Prabhupada touches upon this aspect of the element of atheism even in the devotees community. And what that means is, because there is attachment to the matter, to this body, that I am this body, and there is a very deep-rooted desire to enjoy this matter as much as possible. And that is the reason, and that is the aspect which Srila Prabhupada emphasizes in all his purports again and again, that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. And then Prabhupada, in either the same purport or in a later purport, he brings that we are eternal servants of Lord, that Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. And that's what the main purpose of our life is, to understand, to realize that we are the eternal servants of the Lord. And that's uh, some of his disciples, Prabhupada disciples, and great personalities like Srila Radhanath Maharaj constantly emphasizes that we are not just servants, but we are servants of the servants of the servants of the servant of the Lord. Gopirupada Bharaturupada Kamalayur Das 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 Dasam Das. So, what is that faithlessness of atheists, and where does Srila Prabhupada brings that faithlessness of atheists? So, all these 4 verses, I'm going to go through some of the purports or some verses from Bhagavad Gita especially, and at times from Bhagavatam, 1 or 2 from Bhagavatam. So, this is the verse where Srila Prabhupada says, what's happening here? 2:1-2. Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nunam Santi Sahasrashah Apashyata Tattvam Gruheshu Gruhamedhinam. We have discussed this verse earlier, but as I was talking about the Grahamedhi part, and Srila Prabhupada brings that atheism aspect in his purports, and we can see that here. Grahamedhi is basically a person who has the envy in the heart, and we can see here. Therefore, one Grahamedhi is not on good terms with another Grahamedhi. And in the extended form, one community, society, or nation is not on good terms with another counterpart of selfish interest, another counterpart of selfish interest. In the age of Kali, all the householders are jealous of one another because they are blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth. They have many subject matters of hearing, political, scientific, social, economic, and so on. But due to poor fund of knowledge, they set aside the question of the ultimate miseries of life, namely miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Factually, the human life is meant for making an ultimate solution of birth, death, old age, and disease. But the Grahamedis, being illusioned by the material nature, forget everything about self-realization. And apparently that Grahamedi will look like a devotee. He will follow certain rituals, and he will say that yes, ultimately it is all God's creation, it is his mercy and all that. But because that partial faith does not bring him to that goal of self-realization. And in once someone asked Srila Prabhupada, one of his disciples, that we are all devotees, and what shall we tell Grahamedis? How shall we preach these Grahamedis? And Prabhupada looked at him and he said, "You think you are a devotee?" And there was a sarcasm in his tone, and bit of a smile, and everyone was stunned, and they understood what Prabhupada was trying to say. And he said that we all are aspiring to be devotees. We don't have that qualities of pure devotees, or qualities of pure devotional service. Of course, Prabhupada it is his humility that he was saying that he is a pure devotee, but he was bringing himself to the level of all his disciples, saying that, yes, I'm also one of you. But what he's trying to say here is that anybody who is trying to follow the devotional service path of bhakti should not say that I'm not one of those karmi people, one of those non-devotees. The excellent example of that is our Acharya Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You must have gone through some of his bhajans, of the songs in his beautiful composition of several bhajans, Sharanagati. And he says that, yes, I have so many attachments. I have a lot of jealousy. I'm servant of those 6 enemies, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsar. And though I go through so many cycles of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, and disease, still I don't have that understanding that my goal is just to serve you. It's a beautiful bhajan, and in many bhajans, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings that point. So this was one of the verses. Let's go to some other. Of course, where does that crossbreeding part comes? And we have to step back a little bit. Lord says that Chaturvarnam maya shishtam gunakarma vibhakashaha tasya kartaramabhimam vidyakartaramabhyam. And here is the verse. So according to 3 modes of material nature, as we went through the translations and the purports, this is one of the important verses we all need to keep in mind or meditate on. That according to 3 modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the 4 divisions of human society are created by me. Lord is saying that. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So, what is Srila Prabhupada saying here? That the quality of Brahmanas, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes in this particular purport a lot. Vaishnavas, the devotees, are even more than Brahman. Is above even the Brahmanas. He emphasizes that, and then he says, although the Brahmanas by quality are supposed to know about Brahma, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only the impersonal Brahma manifestation of Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of Brahman, of a Brahmana, and reaches the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness, and that is Vaishnava, that is devotee. Yeah. He emphasizes that here. Or in other words, a Vaishnava. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Ram, Narsimha, Varaha, etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to this system of the 4 divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nations, or species. So how is that? What is the relevance to what we are discussing today? Any inputs from anyone? how is this related to what we are discussing today about the nature of crossbreeding? Material nature is called crossbreeding. So what this means is when we are on the material platform, we have to follow the rules of the material nature. And as per our impressions from our previous births, there is influence of the living entity gets influenced by certain modes of material natures at certain point of time or in their life. So accordingly, a person should perform their prescribed duties and follow the path of bhakti. So irrespective of what the psychophysical nature of the person is, there is no restriction to follow the path of devotional service, to follow the path of bhakti. And that's what Prabhupada emphasizes that in many other verses. So this is important verse. Again, so what happens if somebody who is in their prescribed duty is following the path? No, am I missing that? Here it is. I think it is in the fourth chapter and 36th verse. So let's go to yeah. So while following the prescribed duties, this is one of the verses where Lord gives more of a pacification of even if somebody has to follow their duty and some of that activities are not according to the scriptures, still he says that even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated on the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So that person, when that person who is following the prescribed duty, but as in certain class of varnashram dharma, but when he or she comes to the path of bhakti, they're all pardoned. The Lord takes the charge of that person because he becomes a bhakta. So what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport, proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence which goes in the ocean of nescience. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nescience and sometimes as a blazing forest. In the ocean, however expert a swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior. Perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time, the most sublime. How careful a person should be. Samashritai padapallavaplavam mahatpadam punyesho mudare bhavam budirvatsa paramapadam padam padam yad vipadam natesham. At every step there is a danger, but when somebody holds tightly the lotus feet of the Lord, that person can easily cross over the ocean of miseries of this material world. What is the equivalent verse in Bhagavad Gita? Anyone can spell it out? No?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes,
Is it
Mother.
Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Saranam Braja Aham Tam Sarva Papibhyo Mukshayishyami Masisha?
Yes, Mataji. That's the concluding verse. But before that, Daiviyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratteya Mam
Yeah.
Eva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. So this might, because it is related to that Padam Padam Yad Vipadam Natesham, that is why Daiviyesha Gunamayi is the verse which talks about, yes, it is very difficult to cross over this material ocean, but when somebody comes to the path of bhakti, surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord, then they can come out of it. And the similar verse, what we talked about, is Namam Dushkrutino Mudha, Prapadyan Mudha, Prapadyante Naradama, Maya Aparutadhyana, Asuram Bhavamasrita. Those people who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, and whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. And that's what faithless atheists part is here. So, what we went through just now, through various purports and the verses, is the hope for the people, for the living entities who were not following the path of bhakti, but come to the point of understanding that yes, my only hope is to follow this devotional service and discuss about the Lord, follow those 4 regulative principles, associate with devotees, read the scriptures, understand the glory of what is given by our acharyas, right from our Vyasadeva and Parashar Muni and all that. And then chant the holy name of the Lord because it is the Yuga Dharma, and then follow the appropriate dietary restrictions, which is part of the 4 regulative principles. So that is one of the important aspects. Now, if we go to the next 2 verses, non-contradictory causes of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification and salvation, and also the different means of livelihood, and different processes of law and order as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. So, non-contradictory causes of religiosity. What that comes to is the 4 Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Sense gratification and salvation. Because God has given us the senses and they are always demanding all the time. So what is the verse from Bhagavad Gita where Lord says that yes, you need to fulfill the requirement of your senses, of your manoranjan, of the entertainment, but it should be in control. It should be through regulative principles as given in the Vedic literature. What's that verse? It's very simple. 6th chapter. Anyone? Yuktahara viharasya yuktacheshtasya karmasu yuktaswapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. So everything should be controlled. Ahara. We need to eat, and when we are having prasadam, it should be in a moderate, proper quantity, looking after our health, our requirements. And vihara, we need to roam around, we need to move, but it should be in a moderate, and as much as possible, it should be it should be related to the path of bhakti. Yuktahara viharasya yuktacheshtasya karmasu. All the activities we do, not over endeavoring, not doing too much of work and not doing too less work. It should be moderate amount of work we need to do because we need to run our family, all our daily requirements, everything. Yukta Swapna Avabodhasya means our sleep should be very regulated. Not too less or not too much. Yogo Bhavati Dukkha, that person is on the path of happiness. In Upadeshamrut, Srila Rupa Goswami gives the verses, especially the first 6 verses, to regulate our requirements and how to progress in the path of bhakti. For example, Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalponimagraka Janasangascha Lavlasya Shadbir Bhaktir Vinashati. And then Utsad Nishchaya Dhairyat and all that. You can go through those verses later. So, that is the non-contradictory causes of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation, and also the different means of livelihood and different process of law and order. Law and order means Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, Sarartha Varshini Tika, where he gives a very beautiful details of different levels of law and order a person should follow when we are here in the material world. So what he says is everything should be related to the path of bhakti because he's a Madhurya Rasa Acharya. But he says that wherever required, it's basically in the first chapter of that of his Tika, Sarartha Varshini Tika. He says that different types of Shastra are there. Samaj Shastra, Artha Shastra, Niti Shastra, Dharma Shastra, and Bhakti Shastra. So, Samaj Shastra is how to live is the social code of conduct. Artha Shastra is how to earn our money, livelihood. Third one is a Niti Shastra, which is basically the moral code of conduct. And then above that is a Dharma Shastra, it's a religious code of conduct. And then comes Bhakti Shastra. So the person who is not on the path of Bhakti, at least they should be following religious code of conduct if they want to remain in the material world and have the proper less miserable day-to-day life. Then the religious code of conduct is necessary. At times, there can be a contradiction between religious code of conduct and even the devotional code of conduct, Bhakti Shastra. For example, Yudhishthir Maharaj was the personification of religious code of conduct. He never lied, but Narova Kunjarova, we know the story that Dronacharya always believed that anyone else can lie, but Yudhishthir Maharaj will never lie. He will always tell the truth. And for the cause of devotion, the devotional code of conduct, he said, yes, Narova Kunjarova, Ashwatthama is dead. But I'm not sure whether it was a man Ashwatthama or it was a elephant. Kunjara means elephant. So that's where the religious code of conduct becomes inferior and the devotional code of conduct becomes superior, just as an example. And there you can find many examples like this, especially in Mahabharata. So that's this verse we went through. Regulations for offering respects to forefathers and the creation of Pitraloka, the time schedule in the planets, stars, and luminaries, and their respective situations. So, measurements according to different planetary systems will be different. As we know that 365 days and all the time measurement in the on Earth is as per the it started with that shipping time, and that's how it was division. The division took place, and you can get those details if you go to this museum in Greenwich. They have given a fair amount of details of how the measurement of time on this Earth started. So what that means is the current measurement of time on the Earth, as that I was talking about the Greenwich part, but the time has to be constant across all the planetary systems in this material world, and that is explained in this same third canto later on by Kapiladev, that how that Ghatika, Pala, and everything should be measured. Of course, the Panchanga system, which we follow for the Muhurta and everything, that's where that system is followed. And that is why in some of the purports, Srila Prabhupada brings that point that Muhurta in Swargalok, in Mrityulok, in Bilaswargalok is followed according to that measurement of time. It's quite fascinating. I haven't really understood that aspect in detail, so it won't be appropriate to talk a bit more about it. Let's go to the next verse. Yeah, I think. Yeah, please also describe the fruitive results of charity and penance of digging reservoirs of water. Digging reservoir of water, the most important point for the living entity's bodily requirements, existence is the water, the fresh water. And that is why wherever there is a water, even today, you can see across the globe, wherever there is a plenty of fresh water, the human civilization flourishes. Example is America, USA. If you check the pattern of population distribution in America, towards the almost, I think, what I have read is around 67% or something similar, or 67 to 70% of the population lives in the half of, if you make two different two halves in the middle of the map of America, towards the eastern side, from New York to Chicago and a little bit further, that's where almost 67% of the population lives. Now, remaining population, we can say maybe even more than 70%, maybe, because of the current situation, the way the freshwater reservoirs and the Colorado River is drying up slowly. So there must be a migration happening towards the eastern side. So the remaining population of that, let's say 25 or 30%, out of that, I think somewhere around 67 or some 70 to 75% population lives in on the left or on the shore from Seattle to California. Now you can imagine that rest of that America, that Nebraska, Nevada, and Arizona, and all that area, maybe per 10 miles there is hardly any village or there are hardly anybody who lives there. And why? That's because the scarcity of fresh water. And digging reservoirs of water, so making this fresh water available, that this also means that preserving the greenery and the biodiversity is so important. So now, after creating problems of ecology and environment and pollution and all that, modern science is coming to a point that, oh, no, we need to preserve the gene pool, we need to preserve the water bodies, we need to preserve the swamps and what is that? Mangroves and so on and so forth. But our scriptures have given the requirements of preserving and creating the water bodies and the ecological cycles and the systems around it, ecosystems around it, systems around it. And very much here. So what that means is the knowledge from our scriptures is so perfect that we don't have to experiment everything, burn our fingers, and then come to the conclusion, oh, no, we need to follow the, have the water bodies, we need to preserve it. It's already there. Just accept it as it is, because it is coming from the Lord. It is coming from the manufacturer. And that's why it is so important. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the digging of reservoirs of water for public use is a great work of charity. And retiring from family life after 50 years of age is a great act of penance performed by the sober human being. Very difficult to follow for a lot of people retiring from family life after 50 years of age. Great act of penance. But as Prabhupada says, penance and austerities are very important for a person to have that process of purification and then come to a point that only shelter is the lotus feet of the Lord. I think there is a lot to cover, especially if we go through the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita and 17th chapter. There is especially the 16th chapter, which is according to when I read for the first time, this was probably the scariest chapter I read in Bhagavad Gita, because it is the first few verses. Lord talks about the good qualities of and in devotees or in the gentle people, and rest of the chapter, two kinds of created beings, divine qualities. It comes here: gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, and amazing qualities are there. And then comes everything about how the demoniac persons are. I think there is a lot to cover in this, and I don't think we have enough time to go through all the verses and to understand. And in the next chapter, which is 17, which is here, Krishna talks about foods to eat. What is the effect of that food on the person in terms of the three modes of material nature? And earlier in the Prayagraj, in the 14th chapter, Lord has spoken about the modes of material nature in fair details, how that person behaves, and that comes here in this chapter as well. What is the quality of those people who are under the three modes of material nature? which was relevant to the first verse we went through today. That's why I thought of touch upon this particular chapter or the area. That's basically it. I will stop here. Are there any questions or comments? No questions, no comments. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, from Canada on the border, when you go to US, we got Buffalo, we got Pennsylvania, we got New York, we got all these are very green because the American government takes 70% of the water from Niagara Falls. That's why they get so much water. And Canadian, we have only 30% of the water.
Okay. Yeah, what is that? The main river, Mississippi. That river is the lifeline of for USA. Mississippi yes. And Missouri, which actually joins the Mississippi River. I think that's a different set of discussion. I should not get into the geography and politics.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the nice class.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. I will stop sharing.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you
so much.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the nice class. Hari Bol, everyone.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.